Hi, my name is Carson, and today I'm going to be presenting a presentation about air quality and improving air quality in our community. The presentation will begin now. Understanding and improving air quality in our community, a community lesson to promote awareness and action. So, beginning with this, we first have to understand what is air pollution. So, air pollution is the presence of harmful substances in the air. It can include gases, particles, biological molecules, and it can affect human health, ecosystems, and it can affect the climate. The pollutants can originate from natural sources like wildfires or volcanic eruptions, or human activities such as vehicle emissions, industrial processes, and agriculture. So you may be wondering why we should care about this. Well, one of the biggest reasons that we should care about this is because it can have a direct impact on health. So some of the things that it can do, it can cause respiratory issues. It can cause or worsen conditions like asthma, bronchitis, or COPD. It can cause issues with your heart, so cardiovascular problems. It increases the risk of heart attacks, stroke, and hypertension. It can reduce lung development in children, which means basically that it can impede lung growth and lung function in children who are a particularly vulnerable population. Um, the World Health Organization links air pollution to millions of deaths annually, primarily due to heart and lung diseases. Vulnerable populations, aside from children, can also be the elderly, pregnant women, and those with pre-existing health conditions. So, what are some major sources of air pollution? A big one that kind of impacts us all, that we all have a part in, is vehicle emissions. So, cars, trucks, buses, they all release pollutants like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, all of that kind of things into the air. Industrial emissions, so factories, power plants, they can emit sulfur dioxide and particulate matter. Agricultural activities, farming, pesticides, fertilizers, and animal waste can all contribute to air pollution. Um, Household activities like burning wood, cooking with certain fuels, or using chemical products can affect air quality. And the actual air inside of your home, not just the air on the outside of the home, can be affected by the cleanliness of your home. So if you have a lot of animals, for instance, the animals are going to the bathroom in the house, the ammonia gets in the air, it affects air quality, things of that nature. So, what are some sources of air pollution you've noticed in our community? So, this is a part where I'd like you to kind of take a second, stop and think. What have you noticed that you think might be impacting the air quality in our town? So, some areas, some topics that you might think of when you try to answer this question for yourself might be heavy traffic, major highways and intersections, areas where there are frequently idling vehicles. So, for instance, you're going to pick up your kid from school, you're in the school pickup line for an hour, your car is just sitting there spitting out all of these gases and toxins into the air. Construction sites, dust from road construction, housing developments, or demolishing buildings. Other sources, so gas stations, there's gasoline going into the air, airports, jet fuel emissions, or nearby agricultural zones, so farming, things like that. So what is the air quality index? So this is a tool that we use to measure and report air quality. So it starts at 0 and goes to 500, with the higher values indicating worse quality and increased health risks. So this is a slide with a lot of information. I'm going to briefly touch on the information, and then there will be a graphic afterwards to kind of help set in kind of how it works. So the AQI scale works on a number and color-based category system. So starting at the top, 0 through 50 points is going to be green. The air quality is safe for everyone. Clear skies, minimal pollution. There's no health impacts expected. This probably isn't very common in the areas that we live in, but it is technically possible. Going up, you've got moderate, yellow, 51 to 100, acceptable air quality, but people who are sensitive, like those with asthma, may be impacted by the air. Going up, you have orange at 101 to 150. So children, the elderly, people with respiratory and heart conditions can experience health effects. Um, Unhealthy, red, 151 to 200. Everyone may begin to experience health effects, and sensitive groups could face more severe effects. So when it starts to get there, we're gonna say maybe everyone should kind of reduce their outdoor activity because the air outside is just not good for breathing. Very unhealthy is going to be purple, 201 to 300. This is when we start to see health issues being warned. Serious health effects for the entire population can exist. And then we get into hazardous maroon, which is going to be 301 to 500. And the air is extremely dangerous and there can be serious health effects. So for that, when it's in the maroon area, we're going to have to stay inside with air filtrations and follow the local health advisories. So this is a color-coded graph with the information that we were just talking about. It might be a little bit easier to kind of visualize. So, we've got our green all the way down to maroon. So this is the AQI range, the air quality conditions, and then the color that they're symbolized by. So what are some tools that we individually can use to monitor our air quality? So Air Now is one way. So you can visit it on airnow.gov. It's available on iOS and Android, so you can download it onto your phone. It has reliable AQI data, so the information we were just talking about for US cities and regions. It has an interactive map, and it's free for real-time AQI updates. Another tool that can be used is the AQICN, which is from the World Air Quality Index project. So that has global air quality monitoring covering over 100 countries, displays detailed AQI breakdown, and it's a free app and widget for smartphones. You can see that on the app stores and on aqicn.org. And then it's also a good idea. You can check out any local apps or websites. So going to local news stations, visiting government websites to see if they have their own air quality apps and public health websites for the particular area that you're in at the time. So that's going to be tailored for your specific location, and it might even give you alerts for if you're in a specific area and then the air quality index gets to a certain level where it's dangerous, it can let you know. And the reason that you would want to use these would basically be just so that you can keep up with what the air quality is in the area that you're in so that you know how to properly behave based on that. Moving along, how can you individually as a person improve air quality? Well, there are several ways. So, one way that we can do this is by trying to reduce vehicle emissions. So, some ways to do this, you can use public transport, opt for electric vehicles if you're able to, and carpool. So, electric vehicles just produce less emissions into the air. Carpooling and public transport, while you're still using the vehicles that do have the emissions, it is eliminating if three people are in one car, that's one car's worth of emissions versus three, as well as a bus can fit, 20 people or whatever. That's a lot less cars running. Energy conservation. So turn off the lights and appliances, use energy efficient productions. That way, the electronic sites aren't producing as much emissions up into the air. We can reduce waste, less garbage in the environment, less air pollution. So recycle, compost, reduce the use of products that release harmful gases. So like aerosol sprays, for instance. We can support clean energy sources, so advocate for renewable energy like wind and solar, because that's going to produce less emissions into the air. And then in the community, we can encourage community-wide initiatives like planting trees or reducing industrial emissions. And then these are some references for the information that I just gave you guys. I hope that you enjoyed your time listening, and I hope that you learned about air emissions and air quality. Thank you.